So I really like the way this first colored pencil guitar came out, but as I was building it, I couldn't help but think about what a colored coordinated pencil guitar with the pencils laying down at an angle would look like. So that's what I'm going to try to do with this one. I've got the pencils arranged so that they're fading from black to purple, and then dark blue, light blue, and then white. I had to use 5 different colors here to make the numbers work, but I don't know, it's just kind of where my mind went with this. I'm using a higher quality, lower viscosity epoxy resin for this one. I think it'll help fill in the gaps a little bit better than on my last guitar. And that's what it looks like after taking a 1/4 inch off both sides of that slab. So before I get started and cut this thing out, there's still some ridges left from the route planing that I'm going to take out here with the belt sander. Alright, now let's build a guitar. I showed this a tiny bit in my last video, but the idea here with attaching the template onto the body is using blue tape on both sides and then a little bit of super glue to bond them together. Holds strong laterally, but it can be pulled apart easily. So the sides are all routed now and it looks good. Only problem, and I could have prevented this, but the side that was getting rubbed against the router table, this color is smeared all over. So it looks bad right now, but it's not that big of an issue. I'll just have to run the belt sander over it to clean it up. I touched on how difficult it was for me to keep the colors from smearing on the first guitar. So for this one, at this point, I'm going to cover it all up with painter's tape to keep everything preserved. I'm going to use various sizes of these Forstner bits to hog out the bulk of the material in the cavities, and then I'll come back through with a router and clean them up. Pickup wire tunnel here. Just gonna point and pray that I hit the control cavity. So on my last guitar, I filled all the pinholes and gaps with wood filler, and then I finished it off with the spray lacquer. On this one, I'm going to try giving it a few coats of epoxy resin to fill everything in and seal the whole thing off. So I'm just going to use this tabletop epoxy resin for that. Little tip here, if you're ever working with epoxy, I always make a little bit more than I need, but you can take the cup and just bend it and kind of loosen up the epoxy and then bang it on the ground, and you've got a good as new mixing cup and an epoxy resin hockey puck. I got all the way to this point in the build, and I just realized that I forgot to drill out the output jack. If you look at it from this angle, it looks nice and clear, good color, shiny. But when I put some light on it, yeah, look at all those scratches. I'm using the softest pad I've got, and I've polished all sorts of things with it, from cars to guitars, and it's never scratched anything. I've never tried polishing epoxy before, so there may be something to that. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and put a coat of lacquer on this. So, I almost just had a heart attack here. I went to go bring this guitar into the garage, and I was fiddling with the strings that are suspending the guitar, and one of the knots that I tied slipped through, and the guitar dropped to the ground. Luckily, it's soft padded fake grass down here, and the paint was no longer tacky, so nothing stuck to it. I thoroughly inspected it, and the only damage that I see is a little nick here on the top, so I will have to go back and use a little bit of Bondo to patch that up. So, stupid mistake, but regardless, I feel pretty lucky that the guitar is still in one piece. So there's the little Bondo patch. Alright, it is all done. Only thing I haven't added are the button straps. I have some for it, but I'll add them later. I usually play sitting down anyways. But yeah, I think this one came out really good. A lot better than the first pencil guitar in terms of the finish and overall look, in my opinion. The only parts that I don't particularly like about this guitar is this strip of resin right here where the pencil's gapped, and this row of 5 white pencils, which I could have avoided if I noticed it, but whatever. I had thought about doing something to increase the strength of the neck pocket, but as I showed in my previous video where I tested the neck pocket strength, it's actually pretty strong, so I decided against that. Anyways, as far as the pickups and hardware go, it's all off of a Mexican standard Telecaster and the maple neck as well. So I threw some strings on it, tuned it up, didn't really even touch the intonation screws, and it sounded pretty good as is. So I was pretty surprised by that. Gonna give it a quick demo here in a second. real quick, if you guys want to check out what I'm working on as I build it, give me a follow on Instagram at Burlesart, and I try to show what I'm up to on my projects without totally giving away what I'm doing.